Alrighty. Hello. Hello, hello. Seeing you pull in up here, I'm going to go bring up the railway team over time as they jump on. Welcome to the inaugural community call for 2024. Discord has shipped a number of features here. I'm going to see if they can let me turn on my screen sharing. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
All right. We're going to bring up the railway team here. We got plenty of us over here. We also have a new face ready to say hello. Hello, Jason Roach, aka Roach.
Hello. Hello.
And 1 second, I'm just trying to get everything working here. I feel like I just discovered the internet here. There we go. Do y'all see my screen here? Can I get a dub in the chat if you can see? Okay, I got a dub. Nice, cool. The Twitch again is happening here. Sweet. So, welcome to the inaugural community call. Things might look a little bit different now since we have Discord streaming enabled. We can now share our screen. We can talk through questions that you submit. We also have the chat going. But before we get started, I guess we'll introduce the panel. Yeah, y'all already know who I am. Matt, and you want to go first?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to give Ray permissions here, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Hi, everyone. Matt Abrams here, the first community engineer at Railway, which is like a real honor. So my job is basically just to help facilitate the feedback loops between all of you and the developer teams on product, and help get everything, basically just to help get you all unblocked as much as possible. And that's kind of what I see as my mandate. So it's really nice to meet all of you. I think we, and I in particular, will be taking these over from Angelo as time moves forward. And yeah, I'm super excited. Super excited. Let's get some good stuff done. Roach, you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jason Roach. I'm leading the DevRel program here at Railway. I just started last week, still ramping up. Excited to hear what the community has top of mind and what we have to offer.
Sweet. First off, I think this is really sick because it means that the tiny sliver of my brain cells being rubbed together like two pickles now can finally be expanded beyond the more gray matter. So I'm super happy about that. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently this community call. Most repeat folks who have joined here usually have kind of recognized that we used to use Slido to upvote questions for commentary. It's going to be a little bit different. This is going to be very roadmap focused. What you can do is, as a moderator here, I will basically, if you ask questions up, we'll just answer them on the chat panel. But we'll also talk through a few of our incoming plans for next year and our ask for the community, honestly, because we have a lot of really big, ambitious direction where we want to go to. So, by the way, you can start asking questions now. If you like, we can bring you up on stage. We ask that you keep it respectful and aligned with our code of conduct. You can find it posted, I think, somewhere. Not sure. Anything is fair game with the exception of I can't really think about a question we've actually rejected on stream, so to speak. It's not being streamed, though, but recorded. So with that said, please post your question before we invite you up stage. And I guess before that, some opening remarks. I'm going to ramble a little bit. As you all might remember, last time we spoke here, Regions was not shipped. It was a pretty awkward time for us in order to be able to deploy applications. And now we've shipped a lot of these different features. Right now, the big focus that Railway's kind of working on right now is racking and stacking our own servers. and really polishing the experience. There's a lot of different features that we shipped, and we're still collecting feedback to make it so that they kind of meet your needs entirely. So that's something that we're really excited about lately. We do hear you on the plugin migration work that is still ongoing. Please, please, please keep raising those help threats. Keep emailing us. Keep being very loud and holding the standard of the product experience. The whole team really appreciates that. And with that said, I think Ven is our inaugural question asker person. Ven, you may unmute.
All right. So you said it's more roadmap based. So my question about the roadmap, shared volumes.
That's
When
it. That's the
can
question.
we expect shared volumes?
That's wonderful. Yeah, no. So the answer is it's definitely planned. I guess I got to take a step back and kind of talk a little bit about how volumes, the architecture of the system was created, and then how we kind of came to be. So with volumes, our main goal from Q3 was kind of like get everything out, like get regions out, get volumes out, get all of these base primitives that you have been clamoring for. So right now, our immediate focus is, if you look at Railway's infrastructure, we have a number of services that have been running now for 3 years straight, which is very impressive, to be fair. Services have been running for 3 years straight that are using the older kind of versions of our infrastructure. We can't get too into details for specifics and security and whatnot, but the idea is that we have some pieces of infrastructure that we need to make sure are completely uniform before we're able to ship out shared volumes and block storage. So when we're kind of basically trying to clear out that tech debt and that cruft on those old pieces of systems. And then we can make it so that we actually can be able to share and attach those network volumes. The person who's responsible for it and you want to yell at is 5. Do not tag him. We have a policy to not tagging team members on the Railway Discord. But yeah, heard. So anyway, I did a little bit rambly things. The answer is we're thinking about it. It's not in progress. I don't want to get your hopes up. Like, it's not like hands on keyboard, but we want to make sure that we solve the infrastructure matters first. I'll let you do one little tiny follow up. But I also want to get to Preet Patel in the comments.
Yeah, no, that's cool. There's just a few templates that I want to bang out that require shared volumes, so I will keep waiting.
We will get you unblocked as soon as we can.
I appreciate it.
Sweet. Preet, do you want to go up on stage, or are you comfortable with responding directly on chat? You can just quick yeah or nay in chat. Up to you. I'm at work, so chat. Thank you for coming to this call while at work. Massive appreciation. So I'm going to go vocalize or dictate, the question that was mentioned. Would you be able to look at supporting private NPM packages, or is there something blocking adding support for that? I wish I can give you a more definitive answer there. The answer is I don't think that there is a reasonable situation why we're blocking private NPM registries, aside from having a system where we can actually gather and develop the keys to be able to make those calls and make those requests. Yes, and then Alex has a response that says, can't private NPM packages be added by an environment variable? I think the situation that we're kind of running into is when it comes to prioritization, and something that we're actually actively trying to fix is we have like different segments of users, right, who kind of, I want to say kindly yell at us, right, to fix the product. So, Discord, right, comes with like, I would say the base level of the use case of Railways building and deploying. And then on the other end, which is something that we're really trying to fix, which is why Matt and Roche are here, is unless if you're a company on Railway who talks to me and spends a lot of money, it's really hard for us to prioritize a request. So I would say if you throw this in feedback, put that use case, and then we can kind of track it, I think would be the best way for us moving forward. But from an engineering perspective, I think it's just a matter of it got lost. Yeah, and then Quay.io, it's related. So it's planned, but we have to kind of prioritize it. but if it's blocking your work, adopting Railway at work, that will convince us that's pretty good fire. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. But we still support it, just for the record. Sweet. I got pinged over here at Chit Chat. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. Great question. At what price point do we need to be in order to have prioritized support? Great question. So at the moment, right now, today, Railway has 3 tiers of offering. We have hobby or trial. You have where you basically pay a nominal amount, $5 a month, to be able to get community support. The Railway team monitors the Discord server a lot. Oh, actually, we'll bring up Melissa. Sorry, I did not see her in the crowd. And then we have Pro. Pro basically answers all sorts of questions within reason via email. And then if you spend above certain thresholds, we throw you into a Slack channel. And then you get Melissa and myself, actually, where we answer questions directly for you. We are rethinking this, just for the record. Actually, this leads right into one of our feedback posts that apparently did not get any upvotes. It's somewhere there. Let me see if I can do it by recent. There we go. So I got 2. Essentially, what we're thinking about is we're trying to change the way we kind of think about paid support. Not that it's going away. We have the customers who are on it. They're kind of fine. But the conversations that we really want to have, especially as Preet mentioned, are with companies, to be very forthright and very honest. And then the more companies engage with us, the more companies adopt Railway, the more workloads they want to move over. It doesn't really make sense for us to kind of like charge them up front if they're going to be spending more money on Railway anyway. So we do recognize there's a little bit of anti-pattern there on the offering. Do I have clear answers as to what's going to change and how it's going to behave? The answer is no. But if I didn't have OBS streamer mode and I was able to read your name, I would. The answer is we're really thinking about it. Same way how last year, right? We told you we're going to be changing pricing. We're not sure what it's going to be. But this is actually the rare case where it's going to be more user friendly than, I would argue, expensive. So sweet. A wonderful question. Thank you so much. We have another question from HIS, and then we have Croissant about regions. I've been talking a lot. What is it? Matt, you see any questions you might want to pick up, or Melissa? Just want to say, if not, I'll keep on rambling.
So unfortunately, I don't have anything to answer these questions because I'm still so new, but I was hoping, Angelo, that you could tackle Heis's question and maybe help explain the calculus behind the $5 credit, because even I'm on my private account, like sort of confused about how those $5 get applied exactly. Like I feel like I don't completely understand how that model is working. Could you help clarify it for me?
Hell yeah. So for the record, I just want to put out for the audience, we're humans too here at Railway, and we ourselves, you've tried our best to understand what we build. You should have been here for pricing 1.0 of execution hours. Milo can comment how bad that was. So yeah, absolutely. Heis mentioned that Hobby has $5 of included usage, but the Pro plan does not have included usage. So why? Thank you, Milo. So the situation that we kind of found ourselves into when we're doing the pricing conversations is that initially our earlier pricing plans were extremely radical. Like we wanted to add a Xbox style like points system where like, a certain amount of dollars went into the points. And then if you bought like a ton of credits up front, you were able to pay for like a lot of usage up front. And in playtesting, so to speak, that was super confusing. When we were later on into the pricing conversations, what we wanted to do is, with hobby users, we understood that if it's just yourself kind of deploying something for your own work, we wanted to make the barrier to entry kind of like low and included if you're paying for something. In parallel to the hobby conversations, we were dealing with like a ton amount of fraud. like again, earlier users of Railway kind of recognized that the service would just get IP banned and rate limited randomly because we just have a random person just deploying whatever. And serving compute on the internet, unfortunately, sucks. So again, earlier people who use Railway remember that like the trial plan was, like they would give you $5 in trial, and then if you paid for the hobby plan, you'd kind of like attach a card and you get $10, like really way early. And the problem is that we later realized that with the credit card situation, people would just attach like Amex gift cards and just like ride forever. And just again, not sustainable. So we kind of like split the deck in a very awkward fashion. We said, hey, if you look like a legitimate user with activity and with like a good intent, and again, obviously we can't ask like all like, 100,000 visiting users. Again, this Discord only has 20, but like there's a lot of users who email us outside of this. It's kind of hard to understand that scale. We basically said, look, we're going to make a best guess effort, give you the credits, right, out of the bat. And if you're new and we can't prove who you are, then you're going to have to pay. And then on the pro side of this matters, we kind of didn't touch the pro plan, if you people recall, like during the pricing transition. This is our moment now to actually kind of look at that. We're not going to like, I'm not saying we're going to make Railway, include that usage, but we're asking ourselves like, how do users get the most value out of Railway? And a lot of the conversations that we are getting with a lot of like companies is we love Railway for our team and like all these workloads, but I have this like AWS like whale that I have to stare down. Can you make it work with that? So that's the reason why a lot of questions that we get, like why does Railway charge for seats, is that we ourselves view Railway as productivity software for your developer team, right? And charging for seats allows the Railway team, one, to be sustainable, but then two, also help us build features that may not directly relate with compute, but also help you kind of just get overall productivity. With that said, a lot of people have mentioned that if you go from hobby to pro and then losing that credit doesn't make sense mentally. So we'll think about it. We understand that there's a little bit of disjointness, but I think it's like offering and just pricing Ageddon hecticness from last year that I think we probably should clean up and make more obvious. That was a long great answer, but this is like kind of summarizing like a year's worth of yeah. Sorry, it's more expensive heist, but it is what it is. Sweet. There's another question. I think we're fine. We'll let the chat kind of catch up. They're kind of thinking, oh yeah, a lot of good stuff. But I think we're also a good segue back over to where we talked about how the Railway team is thinking about these projects. By the way, no comments on forums, guys. This is shameful. Do better. So the first step, actually kind of a great segue, what we talked about is about like where Railway is kind of headed. So one of the possible directions, we haven't committed to it, but we're just kind of floating it out there, seeing what people think, is Railway is racking and stacking our own servers. Actually, usually it's never a good idea to say timelines ever out loud. People here remember the meme soon trademark. There's a lot of users who have come here. Yeah, I know Milo. Milo's a veteran of the timeline war. A lot of users who have a lot of workloads that are not on Railway. We got an email once about someone who, says, I have a giant Hetzer server I want to bring over to Railway. Like, can I do that? We realized that the technology that we're using to rack and stack our own servers is a technology that we can sell to companies and enterprises to be able to manage their cloud workloads. And it's quite exciting. So in theory, right, you'd be able to deploy directly to Railway, but then if you need to bridge into, for example, like GCP or Azure, like for example, in Railway's case, we have all our infrastructure in GCP that we will have to bridge over to our own colos. We want to, we figured that like that would be great to keep the Railway interface, but also stay in the Railway place and again, take what you need, leave what you don't, which is our product philosophy here. So it's something that we really like. So that's kind of that. I see a lot of people talking. I wonder if this works. We'll leave it out there or kind of like drop that out there. So that's something that the Infra team has been thinking about quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. We got Vin. Vin request to speak. We'll pause right there. Vin, I guess you got some comments, or you have a question here?
Yeah, it was a question along with the whole racking your own servers thing. Is the plan, because you mentioned bridging between GCP and your own colos, is the plan to eventually like give GCP the finger and say peace out, or like are you gonna have some stuff still there, kind of like 50-50 type of thing?
So the one thing I have to say is Railway will offer. I appreciate the chat, but I have to stay within the legal guidelines of our contractual agreement with Google. So we're with them as long as our contractual agreement is with them, and I think they'll be staying for the foreseeable future. I think the reason why we have our primary colo understanding is that every net new workload and provision on GCP would just be better for like Railway sustainability, right? So like margins and whatnot, to be very frank. So the answer is we're going to be seeing GCP for quite some time. I think the thing about racking and stacking your own servers that makes things scary is like, is there any end user impact to my workloads? The answer is no. So that's kind of our standpoint. And then in terms of like, how does like Railway, I don't know, Railtrack is like my little like fun little code name for Railway Metal. Will behave. The answer is like, it shouldn't, like we would have failed if there's any like any new mental model that you have to hold in your head. Long story short, like, and you folks who have been catching up with the blogs, I mean, kind of like seeing our Kubernetes journey. When we did have pods and when we didn't have pods, right, Rail would behave the same. Where your workloads are and where they are in the cloud really shouldn't matter, right? So like, there was a moment where we had workloads on Kate's pods and people didn't notice, and then we had workloads on off Kate pod and people didn't notice. Actually, the people who did notice on the Kate's pod had outages. I apologize, but that's for a few tweets later. So the point is there should be no functional difference. We're going to be on GCP for the foreseeable future. And then when we are off of it, we will announce it. I know that, and I'm saying this, kindly here. Cooper and our founder, right, has had a few choice words for our cloud provider, but again, Railway, the company as well, we honor our obligations. And although we're not super happy, we also honor the fact that they've taken us this far, right? And we've been able to build a business over here and serve your workloads.
Cool.
Sweet. I know that there was another one. Brash Long complained about the database migration on Saturday. Yes, actually, I think this is a great topic for us to talk about here about database migration. I think this is actually room for a little bit of apology. I think we have not handled it the best way that we could have at the start when we did the announcements, and for that, and I think the Railway team feels pretty sorry about that. So we apologize for there. I think there's some rationale that I think we might have outlined in some communication, and if not, Ray and JR, who are the two developers who have been carrying this forward, are really working on it. So we'll address it. So as you might know, when we did our pricing changes, Railway announced that we had to start charging for network egress and ingress. This was something that we ourselves did not want to do, just for the record. This is a cloud cost that we have to pass on for a variety of reasons. The second thing that's related, but we eat ingress. It's okay. Egress is unfortunately that so the point is that there was additional cost. We don't pass on all of the cost because we know that would double suck. But egress is something that we get nailed for quite a bit. So when we, needed to start charging for this very early, Railway, like I don't recognize any names who were part of the Discord server back then, only could have provisioned databases actually. We shipped code deploys like shortly after, but we had this concept in our head that deploys for databases and then deploys for code were two different objects. And that meant funny things in respect to like environment variables and being able to like do modifications to your DB, which is the problem with legacy plugins. So when we had to kind of migrate off of these systems, we realized that legacy plugins had to go. But the problem with testing, like the migration of these things is that while we were kind of doing the migration system, we realized that the amount of implementation and testing that we did on the migration path was not enough, I think, sometime around like 2 or 1 month ago. So that's when Ray and JR really stepped up to try to fix it. Yeah, I'll answer Madusa. Actually, I can't realize that question slipped. Sorry about that. I'll get to that. So as a result, the experience has been really buggy because when we moved over to new plugins, there was changes in behavior that we didn't capture. So when you post that, actually, person's username who starts with D, again, I don't want to move in this for OBS. I think internally, like after we got back on the weekend, we saw the message that Cooper posted, and we're like, yeah, this is not good. We will definitely own up to it. So, I'm sorry again. We will do better. Keep on again posting and messaging whenever we don't meet the bar. We hold the product to a high standard. Our users should hold it to an even higher standard, and that's something that if you can see with our investments in forums, trying to get more feedback off of Discord. Not that we don't like the Discord, we'll stay here, but we also know that there's like a significant number of users who don't like having like an entire like email chat system injected into their brain, which Discord is like horrible for someone with ADHD. So, yeah, keep posting, keep messaging how bad it is and how we can do better. We have a question here I do want to address though, Madusa, about regions to hobby plan. I also saw someone else mention it. I think Alex, if I got that correctly. Big question we get a lot in priority boarding. Why do we not have regions for hobby? Danny, yeah, sorry. Again, 2 calls ago. Yeah. No, we have a better answer now. 2 things. One, the regions adoption has been fantastic, especially in Europe. We have adorable names for the servers. We call them Euro stackers, which are funny. All of our EU infrastructure has Euro in front of it. Then it's kind of fun. What's also fun is the amount of servers that we've had to provision, quite a bit. We love Europe. And the reality is that we are, I don't want to say struggling, but we're provisioning quite a lot of resources out in those regions that we are very afraid of over provisioning, right? And then if we open up to hobby now, technically the demand would actually cause some impact to those users. So we have plans like that we want to slowly get out to hobby, but, and I don't want to commit to it, is that it's dependent on us being able to kind of pack those resources efficiently enough where it's actually cost effective for us to deliver it in the hobby tier, if that makes sense. So if you think about it, and I want to be very honest about like how, like for multiple community calls, we've been very forthright about like Railway's financials as much as we can be publicly. Our main goal is sustainability. And if we do our jobs right, we're going to be existing forever. But the situation right now that we kind of have is, if you think about builds and provisioning on Railway, when you give us your code and when we run those webhooks and when we kind of like throw those webhooks out into a different region, the infrastructure that is different within each region is the build infrastructure and the deployment infrastructure. Technically, the deployment infrastructure is actually not that bad, right? Because like spinning up a server to have a workload land on is not much of an issue. The problem is the build infrastructure. And a lot of you, and we know it too, when webhooks, like events start, crashing, and like when GitHub says to Railway, sorry, buddy, we're just not going to read your event, that messes with build infrastructure. So that's actually been the biggest holdback to like just passing it down to hobby tier, to be fair, because hobby, I don't know, I've been looking around in Metabase. I think we can, yeah, no, it's a nice cat. We've been looking in Metabase. I think we process around like 100K builds a day. I may be undercounting a lot. We go through a lot of builds. The issue is that our regional infrastructure to compare it to US West is just not as built out, not as tested, not as handled. So we're being very cautious, and by tiering it to pro, we are also able to kind of work with those companies who are, again, a little bit of more of a higher delivery I'll be very honest. Not every single company who's upgraded Pro for regions is super content. I think we know that. We understand that. But usually they kind of find that everything else they get from it kind of makes up the deal for the offering. Problem with building in US West and transferring. Then we get hit with egress costs. That again, fun. Not. Yeah, I know. So, again, there's a lot of like different things at play. We in a perfect world we'd offer everything for free, and if we could, we would. But we can't. We have salaries to pay. So what we're also thinking about again is when we talk about own cloud and we talk about like what is the true goal of someone being able to deploy on Railway. Not saying that this is the final end state, but like if you are hacking on your project and you have a Raspberry Pi in your laptop, what does Railway look like to you, right? If you really care about latency, what does Railway's edge proxy look like? If you already have like a Hetzer server, right? What does your compliance standpoint look like? So, in the same way how I came to y'all last year, saying wait for volumes, right? For a lot of, we comply. The other standpoint that we do have is, we're going to wait and see as to like what the demand is in terms of like EU presence, how we can also meet that compliant presence, and then work it down to hobby when we make it cost effective. Long answer. And then thank you for your patience about just me rambling, but I think there's a lot of little moving pieces around like trying to get the offerings right and making it so that we, again, also make money. Hopefully you will fault us for a lot of things, but we will never fault us for our lack of honesty, hopefully. New runtime timeline. Ooh, a lot of cool stuff here. Before I address it, I think the last few comments about roadmap and influence. So for the record, usually a community call like this would have been announced much more in advance, but we came back from break and we had to announce on a Friday. But we're about to finalize our plans tomorrow. So please, start commenting on the feedback section within Railway. We're going to be using this instead of Canny. We're also going to be responding to it much more than Canny in the past. Matt, Ray, Thomas, now Roche, have personally contributed their hard blood, sweat, and no tears, into the code base. So if anything is wrong with the forums, please add feedback. Make sure that their work is not for nothing. Blood. With that said, I think we have time for, I would say, maybe 2-3 more questions, and then we'll probably close with a little bit about our roadmap. And come on, folks, like where else are you going to be able to get like the Railway team like paying this much attention? Aside from our beautiful support footprint in our wonderful community.
I was gonna say we're all over the Discord, mate.
Yeah.
we are more active than most companies on our own Discord.
Edge Network.
That is a very good thing.
Oh, that's a great question.
I'm just gonna take this tiny interrupt to talk about database migrations. So if you have any feedback about the database migration stuff, please do let us know. We do know that it's not ideal for us to ask you to update of your service variables and of the tiny little gotchas over there. So if you have went through the flow, if you have any feedback about that, please do share it. We want to hear it, and we are sorry if you had like a rough time migrating the databases. I know Diany or whatever your name is. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrongly. You had some issues with your service variables not updating because you were not using variables references. I am very sorry about that. So if you have any just tiny little paper cards like that, please do let us know. We want to improve the experience for all of you. So, yeah. Handing it back to you, Angelo.
No problem.
I'm sorry for the interrupt.
No. I mean, look. This is our soapbox. Please.
Yeah.
So three questions I think are worth. So I'll try my best to stop rambling. So 1 second. So we Edge Network Sleep to the initializing. Oh, and the private network initializing bug. Massively heard. Brody yells at us every day. Private network initialization. He wakes up. He says private network initialization times, and then he goes to bed. Private network initialization times. That's what he does. We're working on it. We are. It's going to be done this quarter. We have Pierre, who's currently reworking the network infrastructure again. Yeah, it is a Docker thing, but it also there's a few changes that we're having into the infrastructure, which leads into Brody's question, I think, about new runtime. This is an implementation detail. So whenever we talk about this stuff, by the way, like I have to be, every single company like hates talking about this because whenever we talk about like crazy like paradigm shifting technology, people think like, oh no, my workloads are going to be meaningfully different. And the answer is no. Like again, we do a lot of work in the back end that y'all don't see, and it's a good job if you do not see it, just for the record. So we're moving to Podman? Question mark? So we know that our we are like working really hard on increasing kind of like the speed of image deployments because we know that you're on Railway for fast. You can quote that. So in order to keep things moving fast, and we have a lot of companies who are like deploying, 20 services and it, strains our builds and whatnot. To do that, we have to make images smaller, and we have to not only make images smaller, we have to make images like much more performant. Docker, Damon, was never intended to be used the way it was. The people at Docker, when talking to them, they're like, "Oh, damn, you're using it that way. That's not no," which is scary. So we are trying to make it so that our VM runtime, either using Firecracker or using Podman, will kind of get us the results that we want. No timeline, but it's something that we have hands-on keyboard for, like the infrastructure team, day and night, just trying to get those initialization times down. So that's 2. Last question. Come on, make it good. Also, like the chat is on fire today. Oh, and agencies. Okay, I think this is a good one to leave it. Emma has mentioned we chatted a long time ago. Railway for agencies. Any further thoughts? We were about to chat just for context. Agencies are like developer shops. We have quite a few of them on Railway. Actually, and a lot of developers also do work for other companies, just for the record. Like I was very surprised that there's this one person from a major Fortune 500 company who has a side gig doing other work for other Fortune 500 companies. I'm not going to out them. They're on Railway, but they make quite a bit of money. People use Railway to make a lot of money. Also quote that. So with that said, the answer is when we talked about the Pro Plan overhaul, I think at the start, I think the answer is we are still interested in kind of supporting them a little bit better with our offerings. The reason why we haven't acted on it is actually we haven't found a lot of agencies that are willing to talk to us. And then when we do ask them, every single agency has a different request, which makes it really difficult to build for them. Some agencies, and in case of like what Vin mentioned, are more concerned about using Railway as like an infrastructure white labeling, similar to like how an AWS reseller. And then some agencies are more like creative agencies, like yeah. Or some agencies are like creative agencies, which are I think are the ones that you are working on, Emma, right? Where it's like I'm doing bespoke work for a Fortune 500 client. I just need to host my stuff for the cheapest, or I wouldn't say cheapest, but my main concern is cost effectiveness. I'm not really working in a team. It's just myself. How do I make it so that is favorable if the end client, isn't really paying for the workflow? So there's a lot of work that we can do in what I like to say billing innovation, but to be frank, it's not something that we can pick up this quarter. Yeah, right, exactly. Right. So like, if you have like a bunch of like, and I mean this charitably because I also live in the New York metro area. If you can give me like every single email to every hip New York agency developer who's on or off railway, so we can like do this research to kind of see what we can do for an offering. It's something that we're really interested into, but the reason, like, there's just not a lot of data for us to like, pull the trigger, so to speak, on what that offer. Yeah, I know, New York, it's cities, they have people. Also quote that. So I think that's that. Yeah, no, I don't want to do Kate stuff either. With that said, that is a great first community call of the year. Time went by fast. I spoken at words per minute forever, and the team did not say anything. I apologize. With that said, do we want to have I think some closing thoughts? I think from Matt and Roche, who will be taking this over.
It was amazing. It was amazing. No, thank you, Angelo. That was extraordinary. I learned a lot. We have big shoes to fill. Please don't abandon us overnight. We're going to need you on these community calls to be answering all the technical stuff. But yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to taking the mantle on this and driving it forward.
I mean, Matt covered all my points. I am curious to hear more about the agency conversation as it progresses, though.
Emma, you'll have more than one person in that conversation. Yeah, no, that's it. No, you mean no more? No, because I'm gone from the community calls, that means more people should come. I'm the limiting factor. Like, the reason why it was announced the day before and I didn't tell my coworkers, it was me being a bad coworker. So, it will be better. With that said, please keep on using Railway. If you don't, I personally will be very sad. But also, more importantly, use the forums. Be vociferously active with your comments. There has never been a piece of feedback with more than one paragraph that we have not considered and made us rethink our lives. It made me once. So keep doing that. And if you feel fit, also we have a careers page. I'll link it later. With that said, thank you so much for joining us for the community call. We'll see you around, and keep deploying, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.